These are the 7 steps your business should have to protecting its data. Data is one of the most important and valuable assets that any business has. But it's also the one that you need to protect the most, and you do that by forward planning. When we say threats, we're talking internal threats and external. And here's the 7 steps that are going to help you protect yours. Number 1 is access control. Obviously the initial one is, do ex-employees definitely not have access? But then do your existing employees have the correct access? And finally, how often do you review what access everyone has? Number 2, passwords and authentication. This is how do people access the data that's important for your business, and whether it's internal data, so things like files and folders, or external, as in CRM systems or databases and software that might be hosted somewhere else, but it's who's got access to that data. And then are they able to just log straight in with normal passwords, or do you have password policies in place and multi-factor authentication? So this means that they can't just log in using a standard username or an email address and a password. There needs to be that air gap in the middle, which is then using either an authenticator app, maybe a PIN number, anything that is a secondary to just username and a password. Because if the username and password gets stolen, that's when the issues happen. Third is backups. Make sure that you've got multiple backups happening and in place for all of your data. So you want the real-time backup. That's something that's going to be backing your data up as you're using it, and usually used for something like hardware failure. Whereas you also need to make sure that you've got an air-gapped backup, because if you get something like a ransomware virus that's going to encrypt all of your data, if you've got a backup that's connected already, then that will probably be encrypted as well if the backup runs at the same point. So you need to make sure that there's also a backup with that air gap so that that doesn't happen. Fourth is email security. This is making sure that your emails are safe and secure and also can't be hijacked. Hijacking is when someone will send emails and impersonate you as the business, or potentially send you emails and they're impersonating someone that you trust. And the main way of getting around this is beefing up your actual email security, having things like DMARC in place and a hosted spam filter. But also you need to make sure that you're training your team and that they have awareness training, so that they're always aware of what the different ways that these email spoof people are going to try and trick your team into doing actions off of an email. Fifth is device security. This is making sure that the device is really secure so that no one can just get into the device, but also if the device was stolen, would they be able to get into that device? Is the data on there encrypted? And also, can you remotely wipe the device? Number 6 is monitoring. You should be monitoring all of your devices so that if anything changes, the way that data is being moved, maybe the performance of any of the devices, you can really see from a top level. It just gives you that extra fast step. And that's really the key to if you were to be hacked or if you had a data breach. And then finally, number 7, GDPR and compliance. You need to make sure that you're doing everything you should be with your data. That's having processes in place so that you delete data that you don't need, or you don't hold data that you should no longer have. But also any data that you do use, especially if you're using things like credit cards or you deal with other countries. A good example is Europe. They have very different data rules to what we do in the UK or possibly in America. So you need to make sure that you are compliant. This also goes all the way back through to where is your data stored. A good example is that you need to have your data stored in the UK rather than potentially in an American or maybe an Asian data center. So you've got to ask the questions and make sure you tick all the boxes as to how safe and secure your data is, but starting from the grassroots of where actually is your data currently stored. So if this has made you question, are your current IT company doing enough? Are they not answering, or have they answered all the questions that I've posed in this video? If not, then why don't you have a free cybersecurity review with Syn-Star? Cybersecurity has massively evolved in the last few years, and you need to make sure that all of the boxes that you should have ticked are ticked, and that's where our reviews can really help you. It's not just about reviewing and changing your IT support, it's about having peace of mind. So click on the link.